From the Skyloft Studios, high above the streets of downtown Nashville, Tennessee, it's the Tony Vanek Show, bringing you truth, facts, and his unadulterated opinion. Now here's your host, Tony Vanek.
All right, here we are, Nashville, Tennessee. It is December 27th, and you can see the lights of downtown behind me. Just over my left shoulder here is Broadway. You can see some traffic. There is some light traffic downtown right now. There is a very large area, several blocks in a square radius around the area that was basically bombed on Christmas Day on 2nd Avenue between Commerce and Church Street. So just past Broadway, if you're familiar with the area, just past Broadway, you get to Commerce, which Commerce dead ends into 2nd Avenue, and then Church Street is the next intersection up. So the majority of the blast was right in that area between Commerce and Church Street. So there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of opinions out there on what happened. I just saw a news conference a little while ago that they pretty much wrapped this thing up and figured out who did it, and they have the suspect. They said the suspect was in the RV and perished in the explosion. They found DNA at the scene. They were able to match DNA at his house. Seems very convenient, very tidy. So that being said, I'm going to leave it there because I'm not going to make any guesses on the investigation since it's ongoing. What I will do is I'm going to discuss kind of some of the stuff that's going around on the internet right now that's a little aggravating. There's a lot of conspiracies going around that it was a missile strike and it wasn't the RV that blew up. It was something that blew up next to the RV. I saw those videos. I watched them in very painstaking detail, and I can't explain the videos. I don't know if they were doctored in some way to make it look a certain way, but from the information that I have on the scene and the actual photographs of the area, there was a lot of aerial photography taken by one of the news stations here, and I was able to get a hold of that about 40-minute filming of that whole area. And what I did was I spent the better part of today reviewing that video and looking at specific shots. I took screenshots of specific areas of interest as I was looking at this. As many of you may or may not know, I spent several years as a firefighter. I was a fire inspector, had certifications in arson investigation, so I know what I'm looking at when I see these things. So I'm going to bring up a series of photographs and kind of point out what I see, and you can see a very distinct V shape of the blast area. And when you're doing an investigation, the very first thing you need to do is you need to find the origin of either where the fire started or where the blast took place. And then from there, you can kind of move outward in your investigation and find evidence of whatever the device was, if there's things left. And they know what to look for as they're scouring through all the debris. So I'm going to bring up some photographs, and I'm going to show you that, in my opinion, there's no way that this could have been a missile strike because there's no evidence of that. There's no crater in the ground. There's no evidence of an impact. It just looks like an explosion of some type of a device that was on the ground, in my opinion, in the RV. It was a very large explosion. It literally rocked my building and got me out of bed because it was significant. And actually, where I'm located on the top floor of this high-rise building, I'm on the opposite side of where the explosion took place, and there was actually large pieces of debris that penetrated windows in my building, and I'm about a block and a half away. And it was large chunks of metal that actually looked like pieces of frame rail. That's the type of steel it was. It was like 1/4 inch thick, looked like frame rail steel that was crumpled up like paper. But actually came through the 20th and 21st floor of my building. So the blast was significant. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and bring up these photos. And as you see in these photographs, you can see a very distinct V pattern right in front of the AT&T building. So you see the cars off to the one side pointing in one direction, and you can see the debris, and you can see the way it's pushed out to either side of the blast area. So again, you can see these cars are pushed away. There's trees here that are pushed off into the other direction, and you can see the damage done right in front of this building. Now, when you look at the other side of the street, here's another zoomed out where you can see that V pattern of the explosion. When you look at the other side of the street and the significant damage on the opposite side of the street from the AT&T building, a lot of people will have the false idea that that's where it was initiated, because there's so much damage on the other side of the street here. As we see in this picture here, you can see the whole face of these buildings are completely gone. Well, as you can see that V pattern very clearly there on the ground, that's a good shot there. You can see the front of that whole building is missing. The reason that is like that is because this AT&T building is actually a fortified brick building. So what it did was it actually deflected a lot of the energy from that explosion and deflected it back towards the other side of the street. So that's what would have caused all that additional damage on the other side of the street, just because of the deflection off of that fortified building that is the AT&T data center. A lot of people wonder, well, what's in that building? I hear a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter and other platforms, Parler and whatnot, and they're saying that it was the Batman building. Well, it wasn't the Batman building. The Batman building is on the other side, about a block away from this building. So this building is a switching station. It used to do a lot of long distance switching. So there's a major area that's a switching station, and then there's a data storage center as well on multiple floors. I know somebody who used to work in this building, and I conferred with them earlier in the day, and they told me exactly what they knew to be in this building. And what I thought was very interesting, this person told me that it was a data storage that they would AT&T leased storage for data to third-party companies. So to me it's a little suspicious that you would have this significant of an explosion, obviously targeting that particular building, and it knocked out all of the cell service, all the AT&T phone service, internet service in this entire area. And there's actually multiple states that were reporting outages. It knocked out several 911 call centers throughout the entire area, actually in different states in Kentucky. I think there were some other states that their systems, their 911 systems were down as well. So again, I'm not going to go into any kind of a conspiracy, what the motive was behind this. All I wanted to do was clear up some of the nonsense that's going on the internet about a missile strike or a high energy beam weapon or whatever. There's just really no evidence of it. To me, it looks like a classic car bomb, but it was enormous. To do this kind of damage, there was a lot of explosives in that motorhome, and you can see very clearly where it was parked. So, again, my opinion, I'm basing this off of my experience and looking at the actual photographs from video footage that was taken the day of the incident. So, again, I will leave it at that, and I will sign off here. This was just something that I needed to get out there, and I just kind of threw it together and knew I was running out of daylight. I don't have a whole lot of lighting set up in here because I haven't really had an opportunity to do any content just because I've been busy working on other projects. So let me know what you think. If you have any other information that I'm missing, let me know. If you think I'm completely off track here, again, I appreciate the input. So with that being said, Merry Christmas. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you have a wonderful New Year. Nashville will get through this. We are a very strong city. Unfortunately, we have weak leaders, but we're a strong people. We're a strong city, and we will pull together and overcome this like we always have. So, God bless you all, and have a wonderful night.